welcome to another edition to Real Talk. Do not adjust your monitors or your cell phones. I have lost 110 pounds between episodes. Don't ask. But anyway, Real Talk, of course, is a show where we get to know the people that we believe you need to connect with. And because you can only benefit from it. Because these are good people, good Christians. And connecting matters. So, our guest tonight, pretty excited about this. He's a man of many talents. He's a mechanic, a musician, the second most eligible bachelor catalyst, and he had to grow a beard to tell him apart from the other fusion students. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Henry.
Hi.
Hello.
How we doing?
All right. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Appreciate you having me here.
Good. Oh, it's great to have you. This is one we really wanted. So don't screw it up. Anyway, start. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Start with religious background.
Religious background. So I myself didn't grow up in the church at all. I grew up at a home where my dad was Catholic. He didn't make anybody else go to church while we were growing up, me or my sisters. So he was the only one that ever went to church. Until I was about 14, befriended a guy through school and whatnot, ended up becoming best friends, and ended up going to his church for a long time. It was called New Life Southern Baptist, which coincidentally enough, Bruce and Annalie Priest went to as well. So
they'll be on a later episode.
So coming here, when I first started coming here to Catalyst, it was really cool to see those familiar faces. But yeah, I was about 14 when I started going to church for the first time. It was when I first really started learning about who Jesus actually was, and ended up actually going to a Disciple Now weekend here in town with the few youth of the church. We had a very small church, and ended up giving my life to Christ for the first time at that Disciple Now weekend, and that was at, I believe, First Southern Baptist over on the Lloyd is where that was held at.
Awesome. Okay, so that can tie into the other question I'm going to continue with. So how do you work being a Christian into your everyday life, say, as auto mechanic?
As an auto mechanic,
everybody knows auto mechanics have to be honest and tell the customers exactly how much things cost and everything.
Trying to work that into my everyday life, especially kind of like at work and that aspect. Obviously, I only work with two other guys, so it's a 3-person shop. So I don't see a whole lot of people, especially now that I'm strictly in the shop and I'm not doing any of the office work. So I see some customers here and there and get to talk with them, but not a whole lot anymore. But really just try to work in conversations when I can with the two guys that I do work with, which coincidentally enough, just the other day, had probably the longest and most in-depth talk about God with my partner Dan, which was actually really, really cool. I'm always really excited when he actually wants to engage into those conversations with me.
Great. All right, and you play guitar in the Catalyst Church House Band.
I do play guitar.
What's that do for you? Like, how'd you get it? How'd you start? And what do you love about it?
Yeah, so been playing guitar for a number of years since I was about 13 or so. But I was always kind of put it down and picked it back up here and there through the years. But once I started coming here to Catalyst, I just kind of had a thought of playing with the band, and I've never really played with a band before. So that idea just really, really stuck out to me. And then, of course, here at Catalyst, they're always talking about how can you serve, where do you have gifts and abilities where you can help serve in the church. And so John, one of our other guitarists, actually gave me lessons once a week for about 6 months. So I could kind of get past my plateau stage because I wasn't quite, we'll just go ahead and say, good enough to play on stage in the band. But man, he worked with me and got me where I needed to be to help in the worship band, which was really awesome. And I loved being up there on stage, and not to be on the stage or be the face, but just being able to actually use that gift for God's purpose, to be able to use a gift that He's given me in the first place to give back to Him is just really, really awesome, and I love it. I love it.
So, would you say that being a part of the band has helped you connect with people that you normally wouldn't have, and helped you out in your life?
Oh, definitely, definitely. That's the thing about our worship band is it's kind of its own little community group, little small group, if you will. Not that we meet on the regular, aside from band practice or early mornings on Sundays, but it really is. Was kind of one of those first small knit groups that I was able to actually connect with each person individually, and just kind of goes into I almost relate it to our community groups almost.
Okay, just real quick, this has been bugging me. Is like Abe your like disciple, or like it's kind of like a little puppy dog thing sometimes? Because he always seems to follow you around. What's the story behind that?
No, man, Abe is he's a really, really awesome guy. As I know most of you know, was one of the students in our youth group just up until last year. And I tell you what, to see him transition from a student position within a youth group to a leader position, because he is actually one of our youth leaders now, one of our high school group guide leaders. It's just been really amazing to see how much he's grown in such a small amount of time. But me and Abe, we actually meet on the regular. We try to anyway, every 2 weeks, and just have that discipleship, have that community one-on-one, in which sometimes we go through little books, sometimes we just go through a book passage by passage, but do spend that one-on-one time in discipleship. So I think that might be where that comes from a little bit.
I feel bad for giving him crap all the time about it. But all right. Speaking of the youth program, you are the director?
Youth director.
Youth
is
director
what I go by.
of
Yes.
Fusion.
Of Fusion Youth Group.
Why Fusion? What does that name come from?
So Fusion, and obviously the youth group was actually already established here at Catalyst long before I took over the youth group. But it really stems from the name of Catalyst, because Catalyst is a reaction for a change, and it's kind of a fusion where, just how I think of it is like it's where our students and God can fuse together in just a cool, safe atmosphere to be able to grow in God and grow in the community.
Sweet. So what kind of things do you do in the youth fusion? Like, you go on trips? Do you like have parties? Or
Yeah. I guess as far as Wednesday nights, we have a really awesome youth room that's been set up again long before I took the youth group over.
What time on Wednesdays? Just so
our youth group meets 5:30 to 8 p.m. every Wednesday
you're
night.
actually on this camera.
I'm on this
Yes.
camera. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll just stop trying to look at cameras,
you're
and I'm
good.
just gonna.
It's
Talk
good.
to
It's
you.
good TV. Just continue.
All right. But yeah, 5:30 to 8 p.m. every Wednesday night, unless posted otherwise. We come in, we have some cool hangout time, and it kind of leads us right into our worship time. We always have a lesson, whether that's me preaching, sometimes we do video series. We break up into our own small groups, gender specific and age specific. And we come back from that and just do some group games and just have some good fun with each other, and end the night off with some free time again for them. And so that's kind of our rundown of our Wednesdays.
And don't you go like trips wise?
Trips wise, yeah. So the trips I love the most is when I get to try to take the students camping or canoeing. I'm really big into the backpacking scene. And just the rivers and being on canoes and stuff. So I've taken them on one canoe trip. We've been on a couple camping trips. So those are my favorite. Other than that, we do have just normal. We'll have like random hangout nights. I know I try once a year to have a youth lock-in. Didn't work out too well these last few years,
Cool.
but we did get to go to an awesome Thunderbolts hockey game, and we went bowling on New Year's Eve. That was a whole lot of fun. And actually, just recently, we had one of our biggest events of the year called Strength to Stand Youth Conference, which is where we go down to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for a 3-day youth conference. And it's just absolutely awesome. The kids have a blast, and just an entire weekend that focuses them around God is just a really, really awesome weekend.
I'm sure they're getting the gist, but just to clarify, how did you really become the director of the whole shebang?
Yeah, so it's kind of, I would classify it as like a random story.
Was it the prayer warrior shirt you wore? Because for the longest time, actually, I think you still are. Your name is Prayer Warrior on my phone because I didn't know your name, but yeah, I knew who it was. So, I don't know, how'd you were chosen, or did you ask?
Honestly, it was. I had just gotten back from my first mission trip down to Honduras, and Marty, who was our last youth pastor, had accepted a full-time youth pastor or full-time pastor position.
Shout out to Marty.
Shout out to Marty. Back where he's from in Arkansas. So there was, I guess, question and behind-the-scenes thought of what are we going to do with the youth group and who's going to lead it. And I guess Pastor Dave started just asking around, to my knowledge, random people, but I'm sure there was a line of thought in his thought process of who to ask. But apparently my name came up from each and every person that he asked. And to be honest, it had never really crossed my mind leading the youth before. And it's weird how it worked out, because then he mentioned it to me, and we started praying about it and seeing if that's really where God might be leading me. And it's just kind of, God just really sideblinded me with it. And it was just crazy how quickly and how the wheels got turning so fast on it.
Because I can't even imagine the responsibility that comes with that.
Yeah, I mean, when he first asked me about it, it was kind of one of those, I was split in two. You know, one half of me was like, man, that sounds really awesome and fun and cool. And the other half of me was like, I don't know how to do that. And that's what it's been, is just a complete learning process for myself, and how God's used these students to work in my life these last 2 years has really been awesome. So, I mean, God really taught me about myself in leading me to lead the youth group. You know, I never even knew I liked teenagers until God showed me.
There you go. Now you know you like teenagers.
Yeah.
I'll get there, sure. I'm sure one day. But anyway, all right. Let's get real a little bit now. As far as, it's probably the last question about the youth program. Now, churches in general, especially nowadays, get a whole lot of negative press for very bad reasons, and even the other youth ministries around. Say I'm a concerned parent. What would convince me that you guys are, safe, that I can trust, my kid will be dropped off and nothing weird will happen and not get lost or...
Yeah. So as far as that, first off, every Wednesday we do have check-ins where each student comes in, they have to check in, we'll have them fill out a connection card, so we know their information, and they check into our computer system, so they're kind of logged in, and it's like, okay, they got a name tag, we know they're here, and of course we have our rules in the youth group to where we pretty much let everybody know, even the new students right off the bat, like, hey, we got to stay upstairs, you use restroom, different things like that. Just let a leader know. Make sure we always, know where you're at. Don't go downstairs without us knowing. And I tell you what, our students really do a pretty dang good job at that. They are, even though still teenagers, a pretty mature bunch of them.
Not all of them.
Not, as a collective.
It's always patience is a key, obviously. But no, it is a program I wish I had when I was younger. My life would have been probably a lot better off. But, God has a plan for all of us, and you're leading these kids to hopefully a very bright and Christian, godly-filled future.
And I mean, just on that same note, real quick. I mean, and if you're watching this and maybe you are a concerned parent or thinking about that one, thinking about your student coming to our youth group, and if you have concerns, get a hold of me. I try to make sure my personal number is out there for anybody who needs it, and just ask me any question you want. Because here's the thing: is I want to partner with the parents to be able to provide that safe environment for their students, to be able to get to know the students better, because nobody knows a student more than their parents do. So I really just want to partner with the parents in any way that I can, and that starts with communication.
All right. Let me see. Is there anything you want to bring out, talk about that we might not have mentioned so far that might be important? No.
Nothing important.
This will probably be edited out. Anyway. All right, people. The lightning round. This is going to be a staple for every show. Is where we put 45 seconds on the clock, and I hit the guest with as many random questions as I was bored enough to write down last night when I couldn't sleep. So I don't even remember half of them. So this should be entertaining. So yeah, let's get 45 seconds on the clock. You will hear a fun little noise whenever the 45 seconds are up. That'll be the last question. Just finish there. And here we go. All right, Eric, you are a magician. Favorite song?
He Is by Crowder.
Good. Worst song ever?
Oh man, worst song ever. I don't know if I have an answer for that, man.
Not Blue. No. All right. Weirdest food you have ever tried?
Weirdest food I've ever tried. Falafel in Jordan.
Falafel. Was it good?
Over there it is.
Best weapon in a zombie apocalypse?
Man, it's just good old sword.
Sword? Old school.
Sword. I like it.
If animals could talk, who would be the rudest?
Cats.
See, that's everybody's saying that, and I agree. Favorite smell?
Pine trees.
Pine trees. What's your biggest fear? Yeah, got deep.
Like you said, they weren't going to be deep. Failing the students as their youth director.
Good one. And as a mechanic, what is your personal dream car?
Personal dream car, I would have to say a 1993 Mazda RX-7.
See, I was actually looking at those because I know where one is for sale. Ooh. How many kids would you like to have in the future?
I would say 3.
3 kids?
Yeah.
All right. You'd be a heck of a dad.
Tops.
Is a hot dog a sandwich or a taco?
Oh, man.
There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer.
That's a taco sandwich.
Taco sandwich?
That's a taco sandwich.
What is one thing about you that not very many people know?
As of right now, I still live with my mother.
Nothing wrong with that because I do too. Yeah. All right. In one sentence, how would you sum up the internet?
The internet?
Yeah. Sum it all up.
Blah, 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 blah.
Agreed. How many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
1.
I like it. All right.
Very strategically.
Do you have a nickname?
E-Rich.
E-Rich.
Yeah, Eric, E-R-I-C-H, you just put a dash in between the E and the R.
Did you give that to yourself?
I did not. That's actually been my nickname given to me by parents and parents' friends and stuff growing up.
They should be ashamed. All right. And how many numbers of pi can you recite?
3.1.
That was Abe, by the way.
All right. So, That happened.
Yeah, that's his disciple, Abe. Thanks.
This means war.
All right, Eric. Sorry, you now smell like shaving cream.
We're back. We're cleaned up now.
And if we ruin the jacket, I'm sure Pastor Dave will pay for it. But very informational, critical stuff we've learned today. Again, it's all about connecting, and the youth is all about connecting. And you're a hell of a leader. I'm not. Yes, we cuss sometimes on the show. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, we hope to have you on again in the future. Just in clothes you don't mind throwing away.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.